Hey guys, Miss Wilcox here. We're going to be talking a little bit today about how to tell time, okay? I know it's easy nowadays to just look at your phone, look at your watch, your Apple Watch, the oven, and say, oh, okay, it's, 11:46 right now. But the clocks that just straight up tell you what time it is, those are called digital clocks. But we're going to be talking about an analog clock today, which is where you actually have to read the clock and figure out what time it is, okay? Every classroom at school has one of these in there, and instead of asking your teacher, hey, what time do we go to lunch again? How many more minutes until recess? You can look at the clock, right? And then you can figure it out on your own. So, every analog clock, this is an analog clock, has two hands, okay? One hand is short, one hand is long, okay? The short hand is called the hour hand, and that's going to tell you what hour it is. So that's the one that you look at first, right? Then the long hand is called the minute hand, and that's the one you look at second to figure out what time it is, okay? So if I'm looking at this clock right here, my hour hand is pointing to the 12. So I say it is 12 something, and then I got to look at my minute hand to see what time it is. So this says 12:45, okay? And yes, it's pointing to the 9, but it's 45. But on an analog clock, each of these numbers for the minutes stands for, it counts by 5, so it stands for something else. So we start with the 12. The 12 is 0, okay, and then the 1 is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, okay? And whenever this hour hand has gone all the way around, that means it's a new hour, okay? So let's look at our next slide, okay? So we got to figure out what time it is. And this little clock down here in the corner has the minutes for you, okay, written on the side, or written in the middle. It kind of tells you, all right, the 1 stands for 5. The 11 stands for 55. That's for the minutes, okay? So, if you remember, we look at the hour hand first, which is the short hand, and that tells us what hour are we at, okay? So this short hour hand is pointing to the 2. So it's 2 something, okay? The minute hand is pointing to the 12, right? So the 12 stands for 60, or it can be a double 0, which means that it's just 2 o'clock. That's how we read that, 2 o'clock. No minutes have passed yet. It is exactly 2 o'clock, okay? Let's look at the next one, okay? So we have our hour hand pointing. It's kind of in between the 11 and the 12, and whenever the hour hand is pointing in between two numbers, it's always the number that is first, I guess you would say. So the 11, it's in between 11 and 12, meaning this hour hand hasn't reached the 12 yet. So it is 11, and then we have to look at our 6. Okay, it's pointing to the 6, so I'm going to look down here and see what does the 6 stand for again. The 6 stands for 30, so it is 11:30. Okay. Next clock. All right, so hour hand first. It's in between the 12 and the 1, meaning it has not reached 1 yet, so it is 12. And there we have the 6 again, 12:30 is what that says, okay? And any time the minute hand is on the 6 or the 30, that means that it's going to be, the hour hand is going to be directly in between the whatever two numbers it is. So see how this is right in between the 12 and the 1? All right, let's do one more, okay? We have the hour hand is in between the 2 and the 3, okay? It has not reached the 3 yet. The 2 was first, so it is 2. Now we come over here and we look and we say, it's on the 9. What does the 9 stand for? 45, okay? All right, so couple things that we've learned about telling time. One, there is an hour hand that's short that we read first. Two, there is a minute hand that's shorter that we read second. Okay? For the hour hand, we're going to look at all of these numbers that are on the clock, right? So 1 through 12, okay? We're never going to have 14 o'clock, right? It stops at 12, okay? The minute hand, each of these numbers secretly stands for something else for the minute hand, right? And it counts by fives, right? So we started at the 1. The 1 is 5. Then we go to 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And then the 12 is 60, meaning that it's a new hour, right? Because there's only 60 minutes in 1 hour, okay? We learned that anytime the hour hand is in between two numbers, it's going to be the first number. So this is between 9 and 10, so it's going to be 9's first, 9. And then this 3, we got to figure out what 3 stands for. So I'm going to start with my 1 and say 5, 10, 15, right? So it is 9, 15. Okay? Let's just do one more before we turn it off. Alrighty. So here we have the hour hand in between 10 and 11, okay? That means the 10 was first. It has not reached 11 yet. So it is 10, and then we got to think about what does this 10 stand for the minutes, okay? Instead of going all the way to 1 and counting by fives all the way to the 10, I know that this 6 stands for 30, okay? So I'm going to start from the 6, 30, and I'm going to count to the 10. Ready? 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So it is 10, 50, okay? And I know you see those lines that are in between the 12 and the 1, and those stand for exact minutes, right? So if it lands on, if the minute hand lands on the 1, it's going to be 5, right? If the minute hand lands on the 2, it's going to be 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. But what if the minute hand landed in between, like let's say it landed on this one right here, okay? So this is 35, then we start counting by ones. 36, 37, 38 would be this line right here. Then it would be 39. I just messed that up. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, because the 7's 35, right? So these little lines in between the two big numbers for the minutes, we only use those for the minutes, we count by ones, right? So if it lands on one of these big numbers, like it landed on the 10 exactly, we count by fives, right? So this one was 50, but if it landed, let's say it landed on the second line right here, that would be 50, 51, 52. So then we would say it was 10, 52, okay? All right, got lots more time videos to show you guys. I know you're going to do great work.